Hello everyone, today I'm here to talk about the carry role. Now, the reason I'm making this hopefully brief video is that a lot of people I've been playing with recently seem to have a lot of misconceptions about carrying, namely that it's a difficult role and that only the best players on the team should play carry. So if you find yourself alright with playing support and off-lane roles but have difficulty playing mid or safe lane, then this video is for you. So up on the screen I have the Dota 2 Wikipedia page on roles. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I want to make note of this first lines here, which defines carry as a hero that will become more useful in the game if they gain a significant gold advantage. This is important because it provides the context for everything you're going to do in the game as a carry. Just by having a gold advantage and spending that gold wisely, you put your team in a pretty good position. Now if you scroll down a bit more here, it shows you a pretty decent list of all the heroes that can be played as carries. You can check out the page for yourself if you want to, just follow the link at the top of the page. Now, going back to the original point, the goal of playing carry is to gain a gold advantage over your opponents, and there's generally two ways to do this. Basically, you can gank or you can farm. Some carries are better at getting gold by killing enemy heroes, and others are better at getting it by killing creeps. So in order to show how the two different types of carries functions, I'm going to look at two different games. So let's go into the first game now. Alright, so let's get into it. As you can see, I've picked up Slark here. If you look at the starting item builds, you can kind of see I've edited the build quite a bit. So you can see the items that I'll be considering throughout the game. So for starters, I start with a Stout Shield, a Tango, a Healing Salve, and 2 branches. I think this is a very standard starting build for any sort of melee laning carry. So looking at our lineup here, we have a Dazzle mid, which is a bit unusual, but other than that, pretty well rounded. So one thing you'll see me doing a lot is queuing up the next item that I'm going to build. So you can see that I've got the Power Treads queued up. And one thing you'll also notice that this is going to change throughout the game. So basically you'll see something happen and then I'll change up the items or I'll buy something that wasn't in the queue. Now I'm going to get here first and secure the Bounty Rune. It might have been better to get it to Enigma, but as you can see, he's still by our tier 3 tower, so I'll grab that for myself. And I've also queued up the Pounce here. Pounce is a pretty safe bet to go first on Slark. There may be some value in holding the skill point, but most likely Pounce is going to be the skill I want, just because it's the best offensively and defensively from level 1. So this blocking technique I do is something I learned kind of recently, where you just hold down the select hero button, so you don't have to worry about moving your camera, and then you just kind of move left to right. So you end up getting a decent block here. So we've got a dual lane of Slark and Lion against this Earth Spirit. Earth Spirit's a pretty punishable dual laner, especially if you have good stuns. But since we only have 2 heroes in the lane, we don't really have it's not too easy for us to kill him. So as a carry player, one thing that I'd like to see supports doing a lot more is positioning themselves better to harass the enemy and zone the offlaner. So you can see here Lion's trying to throw some right clicks, but every time he gets too close he'll aggro the creep wave. What it would probably be better to do is to stand off from the trees to the left and throw auto attacks from there. As you can see, the Lion takes harass. So basically he deals about the same amount of damage to himself as he does to the Earth Spirit whenever the creeps get pulled to him, and also it makes our wave push out a little bit more. So just something to consider. You know, if you can zone the offlaner as a support, you always should. So anyway, I've queued up the Power Treads, and I'll pick up the boots right away. I do end up throwing a Pounce out here, and then Lion throws the Impale. So you can see I'm not trying to block or a Spirit, I'm just trying to get some extra damage in. And I use the phrase assert dominance sometimes, and I do it kind of jokingly, but it's actually kind of important to do. If you can show their offlaner right off the bat that you're planning to play aggressively, it's going to make them rethink the way they play. So maybe they'll be a little more hesitant to go in for a creep kill, or, you know, maybe they won't, and then you'll actually get a kill. But unfortunately our offlane was struggling, and this kind of happens pretty often when you have a jungler. Basically, when you have one less support that you can rotate, you know, to a different lane, it increases the chances that the enemy is going to have a really strong tri-lane. So basically that's what ended up happening here. Ty doesn't really have any support since Enigma is going to want to dedicate to jungling, so Lion rotates up. So right now I'm just alone against Earth Spirit, and honestly that's not the worst situation. In fact, you can see in the quick buy, I actually switched from Power Treads to Midas. So I'm thinking, okay, my farm is pretty good at this point, and I don't anticipate dying, and I think I'm going to have enough time that I'm going to get the most out of the Midas. So whenever you're in a situation like this, where you're free farming well in the lane, you'll want to consider maybe getting a Midas. You can also see here this Earth Spirit throw some spells at me. I'm not too afraid of him, because I know once he's thrown all the spells, he doesn't really have any potential to kill me. And unfortunately my salve gets cancelled by the range creep auto attack, which is a pretty big mistake. But right now my main focus, I do switch back to the power treads. You know, again, just switching the next item you want to build based on what situations arises. And basically my thought here is that Earth Spirit is, his ult at level 6 is ridiculous, so the potential to have a little bit more HP might be the difference between life and death. Now, the thing to remember about Slark is that he's a very gank-oriented hero, but it's also important to get some good items up on him to help him get those ganks off successfully. So, my pretty standard build on Slark is Power Treads into Shadow Blade or Blink, depending on what type of heroes they have. Basically, Blink is a lot better if you want to instantly close the distance, but Shadow Blade can be stronger because you get the extra backstab damage. Plus, it synchronizes pretty well with his ult. But usually I will go treads before purchasing either of those items. It'll help you out in lane, give you a nice attack speed boost, and just makes sense because your passive ability, more attacks you get in means more stats stolen. You can see here the Earth Spirit goes in on me again, and this time I'm going to roll out of the way of the boulder. So again, I have to play a little bit careful because I'm sitting at pretty low health, but again, just a solo Earth Spirit that's not level 6 is not too much of a threat to me. So even though I was left alone in this game, Earth Spirit's not a... I don't think he's a very strong offlaner. Unfortunately, our offlane is getting wrecked as both heroes just died. But until Earth Spirit hits level 6, he's really not that great, so... You can see here just farming on a tower. Now looking at my farm in general, I try to set myself a goal to get 50 last hits by 10 minutes every game. Just because I feel, I've heard that's like what very high skill players use as a standard. And unfortunately I don't meet that every game. You know, a lot of things can happen. You can have a lich in your lane who's going to steal your creeps, or you can just have aggressive tri-lane in your face, but I like to use that as a standard just so I can see, okay, how well am I doing, you know, relative to lots of games I played. So I'm going to run into the side shop here and pick up my treads, and my goal is to kind of run around and get behind this Earth Spirit, but unfortunately he reacts a bit too early, and I'm not able to block off his rolling boulder, so he's going to get out of there. And we're not really able to get a kill. So basically, since Lion's been gone for so long at this point, there's not really... I don't think we have a great chance of killing Earth Spirit anymore unless he's dumb and gets a bit caught out of position. So I'm just mostly focused on farming and trying to get to my next item. So the item I queue up next is the Shadow Blade. My idea with this build was I'm going to build a Shadow Blade into an Orchid, which is, one, a very good build at getting solo pickoffs because you get the burst damage from the Shadow Blade, and then you can silence the target. It basically means you can set up one kill on somebody, and they can't really do much about it because they're silenced. And also, the Orchid's really good against Storm Spirit and Anti-Mage. So that was the build I had in mind originally for this game. You can see I've also skilled to max Pounce. I think if you're just going to spend more time farming, it's better to put more points in the Dark Pact. But the leap is a bit better. The main advantage of leveling a leap is that it reduces the cooldown. So in this game, I think I really wanted the ability to be mobile early versus the ability to farm. So the natural follow-up to that build would be the Scotty. Scotty's a great item all around on a lot of heroes nowadays, but Slark in particular gets a lot out of it. Just the ability to be really tanky and stop people from getting away from you and getting some other stats on the side is very nice. Slark benefits a lot from it. So Storm Spirit's going to rotate in, and I just immediately kind of pounce down. The Storm has haste, so I know I can't really outrun him. So I pop the Dark Pact here, trying to dispel whatever things Earth Spirit throws, and I pop my ult as well and try to fight. This ends up being a pretty big mistake, as that guy just drops a million rocks and does so much damage. I think the Lion ends up getting away here. Storm must have been out of mana, but I pretty much died for nothing, and I'm pretty sure I could have just walked away if I popped my ult. But when I die, I'm going to do two things. Well, first off, I'll check Anti-Mage's farm, but I'm going to buy some small items. You can see there's a Lina positioned aggressively, trying to cut off the Lion, most likely, and they're already rotating Storm Spirit back in. So that shows to me that they're going to put on some early aggression, so I'm going to want the Poor Man's Shield and Magic Stick to help me out with that. Now, unfortunately, they go on the Lion here, and I try to turn this into a kill on the Lina, but I get put to sleep. So right now I'm at about a half health, and I've got my ult. Lina's on the run, so I see this Bane, looks like he's turning to fight. So I throw the Pounce on him in Dark Pact, but then kind of walk away and let the Dazzle and the Creeps finish him off. So the reason I did that is because as a Slark, and as a more elusive hero in general, you only want to commit as much as you have to. You know, when you think of more man-fight heroes like Troll, they're generally either in or out. They don't weave in and out of the fights as much. But a hero like Slark, it's really important to know when you can commit and how much you can commit. So they ended up backing out there anyway, so it probably would have been fine. This might not be the best example. But basically, it's always important to play around your cooldowns. Especially, you know, I didn't have my ult up there, but I knew that if I pounced the Bane, we had a pretty good chance of killing him. So you can see here, the Bane is up behind the tower. Now I make a bit of a mistake here. I start with Dark Pact, and I had a chance to pounce him, and I ended up missing. And then he ends up sleeping himself under tower as more TP. So this was looking pretty bad for me. So fortunately, that stick and the PMS helped me out a bit, so I leap away. I need to pop my ult to avoid getting right-clicked down by Storm. And I've got a leap coming up in 2 seconds, but I don't have mana, so you can see I tread switch. It gives myself just enough, and I'm able to get out of there in time. Now, unfortunately, they end up turning this fight around, and we lose 2 here. We actually lose 3. I'm looking for an opportunity to try to go back in, but you can see here I lose my passive, so they have sight on me, so they have a ward. So I just know that I'm too low to fight, so it's just time for me to back out. So as you can see, this game is looking pretty bad for us right now. We're 1 kills to 10, so I'm going to queue up the rest of my Magic Stick, and I'm going to queue up Mask of Madness as my next item. Now, the Mask of Madness on Slark, I consider an extremely situational pickup. Basically, it's an item you'll only ever buy when you're behind. When you're ahead, a Shadow Blade will serve you much better, but when you're behind, you really need the ability to do more damage. Mask of Madness is a really good choice. Basically, Mask of Madness is good because it kind of covers something that a Shadow Blade would otherwise cover. So I'm going to miss a kill on Earth Spirit, but it's not really important. Basically, the Mask of Madness is important because it gives you move speed to help you close the distance, which is the same as a Shadow Blade would. But also, under the cover of your ult, it gives you the ability to deal a lot of right-click damage. They do have the Lina stun, as well as the Earth Spirit things, which could potentially lock me down. But I feel like we're in a pretty bad situation and that the Mask of Madness is the best option to help us get back to this game. So basically my goal now is to get the Mask of Madness and to try to use it to get some pickoffs. So just looking at my last hits, we're about the 11-minute mark, and I've got about 45. So I'm a bit less than what I'd like to be, and I can miss the catapult right there. And I didn't show this, but I actually have about the same farm at the AM at this point, so it's not bad, but I think it should be a bit better. They're going to get another kill on Enigma here. But basically, since I know what I have a good idea of what I need to do, which is buy the Mask of Madness, I know I really can't fight till then unless a really good opportunity presents itself. So basically, my goal right now is to avoid team fights so that I can farm the Mask of Madness, which I can use to potentially team fight. So one thing I do here, I'm not really sure if it's the right choice, but I don't buy the Mask of Death right away. I'm not really sure if I want to commit to the Mask of Madness at this point, so I just kind of hold my money. But if you have it queued up like I do, I also use a hotkey to purchase the next item in the line. So if I'm about to die, I will have a chance to just buy it. So when I see the Bane TP here, and I could potentially kill him since I do have my ult up, but I just decide it's not worth the risk, so I end up just leaping away. So like I said before, Dark Pact's a better skill for farming. So here I'm going to rotate into the jungle a little bit because I don't feel safe in lane. It's kind of pushed out. With 3 points in Dark Pact, I could jungle pretty well. Obviously not as good as I could with 4. But fortunately, I just managed to pick up enough levels at this point where I can farm the jungle decently. So I'm going to see this double damage rune here, and I'm going to go grab that. So my main priority right now is farming, but I see this opportunity middle. Now, you're going to see I lose my buff from my ulti. I lose my movement speed buff and my health regen, which should indicate to me that they have a ward, possibly on our high ground somewhere. So I try to sneak around, but they end up seeing me beforehand, and the Lina ends up predicting where I'm going to be perfectly, and I mistime the Dark Pact a little bit. So I get stunned, and then my potential gank is over. So they're probably not going to go in on me with my double damage, but I've pretty much ruined any chance we have of getting a fight right now. You can see in the top left, the little green diamond means the ults are up. So both Tide and Enigma have their ults up. So we could potentially fight now. But we're at a pretty big disadvantage. And I really want to try to get my Mask of Madness because I think that's the best way back into the game. So I'm just using Dark Pact to farm neutral creeps at this point. So you can see here as I rotate towards bottom lane. There's a Storm Spirit by the rune spot, so we maybe consider killing him. He has the invis, so we just kind of scatter. And I end up going to farm bot. And I did pick up my Mask of Death at this point because I just thought I needed to get it right away. And I was about to buy the other component as well. Now, most times, I'd say you should probably, like, if you have an item in mind, you know that's definitely what you want to get, just get the components right away. It's just the lone lifesteal bit doesn't really do much on Slark. And also, particularly when I'm building Mask of Madness on a hero like Slark that doesn't traditionally build it, the surprise factor of having it, I think, outweighs the usefulness of the lone mask. So anyway, just short of 15 minutes, I'm going to pick up my Mask of Madness. As you can see in the lower right, Anti-Mage also picks up his Battle Fury about the same time. So in the first 15 minutes, he's managed to farm that, 3,500 gold item or so. I've only managed to farm this 2,000 gold item. So it just shows how far ahead they are. So I see this Earth Spirit positioned a bit aggressively, so I'm going to use this opportunity to try to go for a kill. Like I said, the Mask of Madness was the item I thought could help us get back into the game, and as a ganking type hero, I felt like I had to make a play right away with it. So what's going to happen here is I'm going to run into Anti-Mage and Earth Spirit, and I'm just going to manage to barely survive. So you can see here I pop the Mask of Madness to try to run away. I'm going to pop my ults after Anti-Mage chases me, and then we're going to get a nice Ravage. We'll kill Anti-Mage, get stunned by the Earth Spirit, but we'll manage to kill Earth Spirit too. And negative Rune Charge will not be enough to bring me down. Just barely. I get the regen from my ults, actually. That made the difference. So I'm going to go back a bit earlier and do this fight at half speed, just to show you some of the small decisions I did that helped me keep alive. So I'm chasing this Earth Spirit on the high ground, and if you see on the mini-map, Anti-Mage is already coming my way. So I'm picking it out that I'm going to be in trouble. And then Earth Spirit kicks the rock and stuns me, and Anti-Mage starts hitting me as well. He's going to ult me, it's not going to do that much. So when I'm outside of the melee range of their attacks, I'm going to pop Mask of Madness to try to run away. So when I see the Earth Spirit roll and the Anti-Mage blink, I'm going to run up instead of down. And then after Anti-Mage blinks, I'm going to pop my ult and then just start to man fight him, since I know he doesn't have anything he can use to fight back against me. So then when we get the Ravage, I'm going to continue fighting the Anti-Mage because he's the lowest, and then he goes down pretty quickly. Now, when I'm stunned here, I'm very close to death. So I actually don't want to run up right in this Earth Spirit's face, because he can maybe right-click me down. So I'm actually going to run myself back a little bit, and then come in with the pounce and a final right-click to finish him off. So you can see here, I'm really low. Like, one extra right-click, I think the lowest I get is like 30, no, I get 59 health. So I don't know if one right-click from Earth Spirit would have dealt me 59 damage. But maybe it would have, and it's really not worth taking the risk. When you have that many heroes wailing on another guy, they'll probably kill him. So again, just as with that fight earlier, I committed only as much as I needed to, and also I was able to use my movement speed advantage from that I had from the Mask of Madness. So I'm going to go on the Bane here. I'm going to hit him with the first skill and then just leap over him. That's because there's the There's a short invulnerability period on when Bane nightmares someone, especially himself. But he's pretty dead at this point. He tries to brain sap me, but we have too much damage at this point. So the reason I went bottom is specifically to kill that Bane, because I thought he was a bit out. And I think I managed to TP just out of his sight range, which ended up working out really well. So I buy the Orb of Venom component of the Scotty, but I'm not sure if it stacks with the lifesteal or not, and I think I need the lifesteal right now. So I'm just going to sell that. I don't actually know if it stacks or not. Another thing to notice is I'm keeping my treads on agility when I'm going for the ganks, which I maybe shouldn't do, especially when I'm going on someone like Lena here. So to be honest, I don't really know what gave her sight of me, because she seemed to know I was coming. And when I died, I started pinging out, oh, they must have wards here or something. But honestly, it was a kind of a risky gank to take, even with the double damage, as I continue pinging out this spot. Actually, you know what? I could just check it. Yeah, okay, here we go. So they don't have any vision there. So I don't know what revealed me. Just a bit of a greedy play, I guess. Okay, so basically you can see one of the problems with Slark is that he's very squishy without any items, and that Lena was just able to one combo blow me up. So right when I respawn, I'm just going to look to continue farming. When I have my ult up, there's always the potential to get a kill. But again, I'm trying to balance farming with killing opportunities. So I can see that Storm's in our jungle. So from that, I can guess that there's probably more there as well. So I'm going to farm up this one camp and then leap over the edge to try to get a bit closer. Now I see that Storm's picked up this haste rune, so I'm going to actually hide around the corner, hoping that it'll like unsuspectingly turn the corner into the fog and I can jump him. But when I see him running bot, I realize that Lion's in trouble. I pop my Mask of Madness to get there faster, and I leap onto the Lina, and then I just ult right away, hoping that they have used their AoEs already. Now the black hole gets cancelled here, but we've already gotten one kill. I almost die, and then the grave saves my life. That was really good. I'm basically mashing the magic stick at this point, hoping to stay alive. I run around the bottom, again, because I know I can't commit myself. And then after the fight, I see this Storm Spirit, and I notice that he's not zipping a long distance away, so I assume he's out of mana. So I use Mask of Madness and Leap, and the Leap actually ends up finishing the kill. So basically in that fight, a couple things happened. The first thing was I was able to leap aggressively because I knew I had my ult and I knew I had my team behind me, and I was able to get one kill off of that. And then the rest of the kills were me being a big enough distraction where my teammates could catch up. So after that fight, even though I'm kind of low on mana, I want to use this opportunity to farm, and I see a decently sized wave up top. And I'm also pretty confident in knowing that there's not going to be any heroes this close to our tier 3 tower, especially when they all just died. So, since there's no heroes on the in a good spot to farm, I'm going to just farm creeps. And again, you can see this balancing act that I'm doing where, even though my primary goal is to kill heroes, I'm still finding time to farm creeps. So we're at the 20-minute mark now. I see anti-mage grab this double damage. I don't want any of that. I've got about 88 last hits at this point, and if you remember my 50 by 10 minutes, if you extend that to 20, you want to have about 100. I'm just going to back up when I see the storm here and realize, okay, I need mana. Again, my farming and my last hitting hasn't been great this game. I've been making up for it with the ganking. You can see I'm 3, 2, and 5 as well, which is decent. I've been involved in 8 of the 9 kills of our team, so that's pretty good. And I'm starting to throw some items together. The first Ultimate Orb is going to keep me tanky. Then I'm going to see this fight break out mid. So again, we don't have our ults, so we don't really want to be fighting. Again, I missed that because of the Nightmare. I'm going to pop my ult when I see the Lina throw the stun, because I'm afraid of getting Lagoona'd as well. And then this Bane is just kind of far out, so I end up killing him. You can see I immediately back up after I kill the Bane, though, because of the Lina stun would have been there, then the Earth Spirit shenanigans as well. So, again, this balance between how much I'm committing to the fights. I'm not just rushing at every hero I see, because I might die if I do that. I'm going in only when I feel safe to do so. So you can see here, I just pop my Mask of Madness and run at Lina. She ended up just using me here. But that's pretty much the end of that. That ends their ability to contest this tower. So we'll get our second tower of the game, actually. And also a decent fight. That fight bottom was the first major team fight we won, which was big. But this is the first fight we actually were able to capitalize and take some objectives off of. So you can see after all that mid, I'm just going to immediately go bottom to farm that creep wave. Whenever you see your safe lane creep wave pushing in, especially when you have this, like, in the situation where you have your tier 2 up, it's really good because you can push out your own creep wave and just farm the creeps in that lane very quickly and then rotate into the jungle afterwards. So you can see here, I'm going to get about 2 to 3 waves of farm bottom, and then I'm not going to feel safe pushing any further, so I'll rotate into the jungle. Now, one thing you will notice here is that when I farm just normal creep waves and I don't care about pushing out the wave, I'm going to go for the range creep first. Now, there's 2 reasons to do this. One is that I know, as Slark, if you Dark Pact and right-click a creep once, that pretty much, if you have max Dark Pact, this is, you'll kill the range creep with a Dark Pact and a right-click. But also important is that the range creep's not getting hit by any of your ally creeps. So basically, when you're farming, you don't care about pushing the wave out. You can kill the range creep first because it's a guaranteed last hit, because most likely no other creep is going to be hitting the range creep at that time. Now you can see there I also kind of failed to stack. It's not the biggest of deals, it's just like, if you see an opportunity to stack a camp and you know you're about to farm it, you should just take that opportunity. Learning the stack timings on the camp is just something very, very useful. That camp, I think it's 55 or so. It always depends on the creeps, of course. But again, you can see here, I Dark Pact, I right-click the range creep once, because it's the easiest one to get. So again, I picked up my second ultimate over this point. You can see again, go for the range creep. Our lineup is very much centered around team fights. We have both Tidehunter and Enigma, and since we have both those ults off cooldown, we're going to use this as our opportunity to push. So I think I heard the TP happening, so I'm just going to kind of YOLO run around the bat. So I get a glimpse on the Bane, and I pop Mask of Madness and initiate on him. You can see here I pop my ult the second the Lina arrives, just so she doesn't have her chance to Yule's combo me, and then I'll just go on killing whatever target that comes up to me. When you start off a fight picking off 2, you're just at such an advantage right off the bat. So I don't need to really worry about focusing anyone in particular down. I'm just trying to kill targets as quickly as I can. So we'll end up trading 4 for 1 here. And again, me wrapping around did 2 purposes. One, it allowed me to get Bane low, and basically Bane wasn't able to do anything in that fight. But also, all the other heroes that were in that lane started to come close to me to try to focus me down, and then it gave Tide the opportunity for the perfect initiation, because I gave him the vision and I clustered the heroes together. So, we ended up taking 4 in that fight. I'm able to finish up my Scotty off of this, and this is a part of the game where we're starting to feel a little more confident. You know, at the beginning, when we were like 1-10, the game was looking very difficult, but now I've picked up my Scotty, and when you've got a Scotty on Slark, that's kind of the point where it gets really hard to deal with you, because, you know, before that point, you're hard to lock down, but you're squishy. So, the Lina, for example, great hero at blowing up a Slark quickly. But now with the Scotty, it's quite a bit harder to do so. And then you can see the next item I'm going to queue up is the Abyssal Blade. So basically, Scotty makes it difficult for people to get away from Slark, but, you know, I've been kind of getting away with a lot because the Storm Spirit have been getting locked down by Ravages and stuff. I'd really like further ability to prevent those heroes from running away, which is what I was trying to originally accomplish with the Orchid. But now I think it's a bit late for an Orchid. Anti, as you can see, has picked up his Manta style, and you can use that to dispel Orchid. So at this point, the Abyssal Blade is going to be the best option for locking down those heroes that can easily escape. And again, I don't really see any good opportunities for pickoffs. I could go wandering around their forest, and maybe I should be, but I just take this opportunity to farm. I should note that I, as a player, never mind, I'll talk about it later. So what's going to happen here is I'm pretty sure they smoked into our jungle, so I'm going to try to get there as fast as possible. I'm going to use Leap, and then I'm going to run into this Bane. So fortunately I'm able to get this Dark Pact off, and it removes his Nightmare. So the reason it's really good to pick off Bane before the fight, even though the rest of my teammates are fighting, but since he has the mech, and his ult is probably the best way of locking me down they have, it's really good that I get the chance to take him out before the fight even starts. Unfortunately, my teammates threw a couple spells here, so the lean is really low. I popped the Dark Pact early, anticipating the stun, and she yules me. But Dark Pact does remove yules as well, so she doesn't even get a chance to get the stun off, and able to walk out alive. I popped the Mask of Madness to try to save Tide, and then when he sees me coming, he starts to run. But I don't know which one's real, so I use the Dark Pact to try to find out which one's real, and I also happen to remove the Orchid. Now Tide comes in and gets stuck in the trees, and he gets a Ravage off, so I switch my targeting to Storm Spirit, just because he's stunned and he's closer. Her Spirit doesn't come in later and ult speed, so I just make the decision to man and fight. I'm not really sure I can win this, but I just feel I need the lifesteal. I need to constantly be hitting them in order to survive this fight. And what ends up happening, Bane's alive right now, but we actually, if you remember, I picked him off at the beginning of the fight, so we ended up 5-man wiping them. And we lost quite a couple as well. Now, knowing when to man up, especially on a hero like Slark, is very difficult. And in that situation, I just happened to make the right call. But one thing that definitely tipped the scales in my favor to make that decision is you can see I'm sitting on 35 Essence Shift stacks, which is, 35 attack speed, 35 damage. It's ridiculous. But, long drawn-out fights are usually very good for a Slark, just because you can build up those charges. And, like I said, a fight just went... it didn't go great for us, because we lost quite a bit as well. But for me, as the carry, that's pretty much all you can ask for to be part of a 5-man wipe. And of course, the fact that I had the Scotty helped me a lot, just because I was able to tank through a lot of that damage and survive enough to build up those Essence Shift stacks. So right now I'm just kind of farming in their jungle. I think if I run into any hero, I might be able to kill them, especially with the Basher just finished. And I actually do just run into AM here, and of course I get a first hit bash. He tries to kind of manta and fight me, but you can see he just ends up running away. And then I try to kill him, lock him down, but he just blinks out. Basher's only got a 25% chance, and I hit him 3 times, so what can you do? But what I was trying to say before that fight was I think I, as a player, tend to value creep farming a bit more than the average player. And I don't know if this is necessarily right or wrong, it's just how I am. Given the option, I'll usually spend quite a bit of time looking for farm. So you might think this is too much time farming on a Slark, and there are definitely times where I am farming that I could be looking for kills, but this is just kind of the way I play. I do like to spend the time farming, and I think people do have a natural play style, farming versus ganking, but honestly, it's all about recognizing what's right for the situation. Now I just happened to run into this anti-mage here, and you can see the second he sees me, I try to chase him down. He ends up blinking and TPing out. And whenever you see that, when you're playing a carry, and the second the enemy carry sees you, they just have to blink away and TP out, that's usually a really good sign. It basically means that their carry thinks they can't take you one-on-one. And when you're in that kind of a situation, your team's in such an advantage. So, this kill on the Lina here, you can see I initiate on her the second she comes up to the high ground. She's going to Yules herself, and the second I see the Earth Spirit comes in, I'm just going to ult. I didn't even see the Bane there, but I just ulted because Earth Spirit is broke. I don't want that crap. And then I'm going to reinitiate on the Earth Spirit when I have my lead back up. So, I'm going to hit Nightmare by the Bane. Bane's going to walk away. We'll end up getting another kill on this Earth Spirit here. And then we basically just, turn nothing into a 2-man kill and a tier 2 tower. So about this point is when we break even in net worth, and we're going to push this tier 2 tower, and in fact I think we push for high ground here. And we're able to push high ground because of those kills we got beforehand. And that seems obvious, but if you can make those kind of kills happen that wouldn't otherwise happen, it just helps you out so much in your ability to take objectives and win fights. Now we can see anti-mage split pushing bottom. I don't remember if he had a TP. This Bane is just like way too far out. Honestly, it's like, why was he up there? But you know, everyone makes mistakes, so what can you say? But they've got to take this fight without Bane. He doesn't want to buy back. Anti-mage chooses to split push here. And that pretty much secures us. We have both our ults, so that's probably the smart decision to make. And we're just going to try to focus down this range racks first. Earthspirit gets a really good kick here. And then they go in, but Storm's going to die really quickly. And we get an okay black hole, but we just end up killing 3 of them. And then you can see I immediately TP back because I know anti-mage is split pushing. And he's going to run away. Alright, so around this point, this is basically the point where I'm going to stop just doing a continuous cast of the game. The game goes on for another 20 minutes, but you can see the net worth graph here. At this point, we're actually at an advantage, and we're pretty much going to snowball this advantage to win the game a little bit later. So what I'm going to do now is just look at some key points that happen later on in the game that I think also might be helpful. But there's a lot of farming that happens between kills and a lot of kills that weren't particularly interesting. So hopefully by now you've kind of picked up on the farming patterns and the tools that the techniques that I use to get kills on heroes. Alright, so about the 34-minute mark, I'm just kind of sitting in the jungle looking for kills. I see the Storm Spirit in the jungle looking pretty juicy, so I'm kind of just waiting outside his vision range to see if I can get a kill. And then this Lina kind of comes in, so she just throws her stun, but I dark backed it off and just blow her up right away. I actually think overall Lina was probably the player that did the best against me. There was a lot of times where she survived because of good decision making, but you can see just right there, she walked up into the fog and then she just died instantly. So it's something that I don't always see people doing, you know, respecting the uphill lack of sight on the fog, but it's going to turn into a kill for us. Okay, so about the 41-minute mark, we're going to try to go high ground. We've taken Roche, so I have an Aegis on me. So I pull my Mask of Madness and start hitting the tower. You can see I make like a subtle movement that I'm going to run towards Lina just to make her back up. I'm going to get initiated here on its silence, and then the Lina Laguna Blade's actually going to blow me up. So when I come back, I'm going to try to kill that Lina. But you can see she's going to throw herself up in the air, and then that just makes me want to focus down other targets. So I get hexed here as well. So this fight ends up kind of being a wash for us. They lose 4, we lose everyone. And that was with Aegis as well. Definitely not the kind of fight you want to take when you're in the lead, and we are in the lead at this point. So at moments like this, you know, this is when I'll consider wanting to get a BKB. I've got a butterfly queued up right now. But you can see the XP graph is kind of starting to swing back in their favor. Net worth's kind of even. So basically, the next item decision I'm going to make is actually going to get a Blink Dagger, because, you know, I've been getting away with for a long time just running at them, but I think it's gotten to the point where I just need to instantly be in their face. So anyway, about the 45.5-minute mark, just farming creeps in the jungle, maybe hoping a hero will wander in, and then just by chance the Storm happens to farm that jungle camp. So you can see here I'm going to kind of hide in the fog. I'm going to have my Abyssal Blade ready, and then when he comes around the corner, I just immediately stun him. He actually gets a silence off on me, but instantly the Lion comes in with the change of stables, and we're able to get a kill off on him. So, you know, that's just another example of using fog to your advantage. Alright, so just short of the 47-minute mark, we're gonna go high ground again. This time I'm gonna blink Abyssal onto Lina and hope to burst her down. I pop my ult, and then she pops a Yule Scepter followed by a Ghost Scepter. And basically after that, I've wasted my ult and I gotta back up. So the reason I said I thought this Lina played really well is because she itemized herself so that she wouldn't get killed by me, who's the biggest threat to, like, we have a good AoE threat, but our single target's not great. So the way she built, it was really good at preventing me from getting solo pickoffs on her. And unfortunately, we're gonna get all wiped again in this fight. So, a bit less than a minute after that fight, they immediately try to take a counter Rex. So I buy back when I see anti-mage with high ground as well as Dazzle, and they make a big mistake here to continue pushing. When you see buybacks coming out like that, it's really dangerous to continue, and especially when you see two more. It's just super greedy to go for more. I immediately go for the Abyssal Blade on anti-mage here because my main concern is locking him down, and then we just get a great black hole. And, it's pretty much over for them. Now the anti-mage has BKB and he's running away. I blink predicting where he's going to be. And you can see after he disappears and I leap over, he's not there. I ping out where he's going to be. So Enigma scares him out with that ability. And we kill the anti-mage. So anti-mage is dead without buyback here. And that's pretty much going to give us what we need to take Megas and end the game. Anyway, about 55 minutes, finally the enemy throne falls, and glorious victory is ours. So, if you look at the end screen, you can see my gold per minute was about 634. I consider above 600 to be pretty good for a carry, and this was a pretty close game as well. If you compare it to the anti-mage, who was their carry, he had 589. He had a lot more last hits than I did, but the difference was I was able to contribute to a lot more kills. So, because I was able to successfully balance farming and ganking, I was able to get a huge net worth advantage and carry the game. So that's it for this video. Hopefully this was helpful, and if not, I'd like to get some feedback on what could be better. So let me know. Thanks for watching.